My mother, with all her friends, is planning a trip to Abuja. Look at this sentence too. My mother, with all her friends, is planning a trip to Abuja. Here also, our subject is my mother, which is singular. With all her friends is extra information that we have in the sentence. It's not the main subject. It's not part of the main subject. So my mother, with all her friends, is planning a trip to Abuja. Her friends are just accompanying her. My mother is our main subject here. So we use is planning a trip to Abuja, not are planning a trip to Abuja. If this is the first time you are visiting this channel, I would like to ask you a favor, which is to hit the subscribe button. If you really want to support me, this is the best way you're going to do that. In today's lessons, we are going to explore some important grammar rules. These rules are all about subject-verb agreements. They are very important. We normally know that when our subject is singular, our verb must be singular too. Like for example, if I have he is our subject here and it is singular. So our verb must be singular, like he is my friend. So is our verb here. It is singular. Why do we have is? Because our subject is singular. And are is plural. We know that when our subject is plural, the verb must be plural too. That's what we're going to talk about, subject-verb agreement. But sometimes English can be little bit tricky. We often see it in places where we would expect to see plural verb. Unfortunately, there what is required is what singular verb. So this is what we are going to talk about today. I will make sure I explain this clear example until you understand. I don't want you to make this kind of mistakes again when it comes to English. And this video is going to be interactive, engaging. It's going to be friendly, just like having chat. I just want you to pay attention, make sure you pause, ask questions, think about it before you proceed with the video. Let's go. This video is going to take us more than 30 minutes because of how important these grammar rules are. So I hope you will grab a cup of coffee and let's go. By the end of this 30 to 40 minutes, you will learn everything. I said everything concerning these 6 rules I'm going to explore with you today. At the end of this video, you will know why if I say bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, you will be expecting maybe to hear butter and bread are my favorite breakfast. But here we have 2 nouns here connected by and. You might be thinking we have 2 things, but actually these 2 things are referring to one idea, which is what? Single meal. That is our breakfast. So at the end of this video, you will understand why when we say bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, we use is instead of are. Why learning this subject-verb agreement is very important. Whether you are writing an essay or speaking English with friends or at work, you will find this very important. You will be able to speak correctly, sound more natural while discussing with anyone, anywhere you find yourself. The first rule is 2 singular nouns suggesting one idea equals to singular verbs. Let me explain. Sometimes nouns connected by and actually referring to one idea or one person or one thing. In that case, the verb that comes after that is singular. For example, bread and butter. Here we have bread and butter, but actually this is referring to one idea, or I can say it's referring to one thing, which is what? A single meal. That's it. When I say bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, bread and butter is what? It's just a single meal. I can say like my favorite breakfast is bread and butter. Look at it this way. My favorite breakfast is bread and butter. This is a special situation where 1 + 1 is equals to 1 in grammatically. When it comes to this grammar, 1 + 1 is equals to 1. It's against the natural phenomena, right? Think of it this way. If one person has 2 titles, for example, when I say the owner and manager, I'm referring to just one person. So in this case, the verb that comes after this is what? Must be singular. So this is the case. Using plural verb in this case is awkward. It should completely be avoided. Here are examples of 2 nouns suggesting one idea or one person, which we are going to break them down till we understand what they really mean. The first one is bread and butter is my favorite breakfast. When we look at this one, it means what? Bread spread with butter on it. This is one food combination, right? Bread and butter. So in this case, we will not use a. Why? Because bread and butter is referring to single unit, one thing. So in this case, we say bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, not bread and butter are my favorite breakfast. This is wrong. Second example, rice and stew is delicious when cooked well. We see rice and stew as just as what? As another food combination. It's commonly used here in Nigeria, right? Rice and stew. This is one dish of food. So in this case, what we're going to say is not rice and stew is delicious when cooked well. When you use in this sense, that sentence is incorrect. Next sentence is the secretary and treasurer of the club is attending the meeting. When we look at this treasurer is also referring to what? To the secretary. So the secretary and treasurer is one person. So here also we have two nouns referring to one person. In this case, we will not use because it is actually the subject is just one person. We are referring to our subject who? Secretary. So in this case, the secretary and treasurer of the club is not when we use that is incorrect. The secretary and treasurer of the account is attending the meeting. Next sentence is my best friend and cousin is visiting us tomorrow. My best friend and cousin is visiting us tomorrow. With this sentence means what? My best friend, who is also my cousin, is visiting us tomorrow. So here also we are referring to one person. In this case, we are not going to use we would use is because our subject is actually one person, not two people. My cousin and best friend is visiting us tomorrow. My cousin, who is also my best friend, is visiting us tomorrow. This is the sentence. So in this case, when we have two nouns connected by and referring to one person, one idea, or one unit, in that case, we use what? We use singular verb, not plural verb. This is special rule when it comes to subject-verb agreement. You know, the subject there must be agreement between the subject and the verb. But in this case, it looks a bit awkward. Don't worry, time after time, you will get used to it. Imagine a typical morning in Kano. Your best friend asked you what you had for breakfast. What are you going to say? You might say, tea and bread is my usual breakfast here. Or kunu and kosai is my favorite breakfast. So kunu and kosai here is one thing. Kunu and kosai is referring to what as just single food combination, kunu and kosai. So when we use kunu and kosai, you might be expecting to hear that the next verb should be plural, like kunu and kosai are my favorite. So we are not referring these two nouns as separate entity. We are referring these two nouns as what? As single entity, single unit. So kunu and kosai is my favorite breakfast, or tea and bread is my usual breakfast. Here, this is what we are talking about. Another thing is, think of a respected person in the community who has two titles. For example, let's say the district head and chief imam is attending the event. The district head and chief imam is attending the event. When we look at these two nouns here, who is the district head? He is also the chief imam. So these two nouns are referring to one person. In this case, we are not going to use we will use is, because this is one idea. So when we have two nouns connected by and referring to one person, or one idea, or one unit, in this case we use singular verb. So this is the kind of agreement we have here. Can you take a moment to think? Can you come up with another example from your own life? Like, for example, let's say spaghetti and meatballs is my favorite dinner. So here we have spaghetti and meatballs referring to a single food combination. Can you come up with some other examples? Because learning goes with examples. You can only realize whether you understand or don't by trying to give example on your own. I can even say my mentor and guide is Abdullah. My guide and who is also my mentor is Abdullah. In this case, these two nouns combination is also referring to one person. Let's move to the second rule. Our second rule is nouns joined by, with, as well as, along. In this case, we also use singular verbs, not plural. Let me give you an example. When I say Ali, along with his friends, is coming to the party, think of this. Is this grammatically correct? Is this correct or wrong? Ali, which of these two sentences is correct here? Ali, along with his friends, is coming to school today. Ali, along with his friends, are coming to school today. Which of these two sentences is correct? Take a moment to think about it. Two sentences. The first one is correct, which is Ali, along with his friends, is attending the school today or is coming to school today. So why here? Because our subject is Ali. All these additional information, this is just extra information telling us what? That Ali is not alone. He's coming with whom? With his friends. So in this case, Ali along with his friends is attending the school today. So the focus is not on his friends. The focus is on Ali. So Ali is our subject here. All the things that come after it is just extra information added to the subject, who is Ali. In real life, you might be thinking that Ali plus his friends, this is a group of people, right? But in this sense, as we're talking about here, Ali plus his friends is singular. English is tricky sometimes. It sounds this way. The same goes with as well as. When we have, for example, this sentence, the teacher as well as the student is surprised. The teacher as well as the student is surprised. Look at these two sentences here also. The teacher as well as the student is surprised, or the teacher as well as the student are surprised. Which of these two sentences is correct here? The first one is correct. The second one is incorrect because our subject is what? The teacher. As well as the student is extra information added to the teacher. Shows what? It shows that it's not only the teacher who is surprised about the issue, but our main subject. Our subject is what? The teacher. As well as the student, this is additional information added to what? To the main subject. So in this sense, the subject is what? The teacher as well as the student is surprised. We use is, not are. This is the kind of agreement, subject-verb agreement that we have here. So let us have a bunch of examples here to make sure we understand this rule clearly. For example, the first one, we can say the teacher as well as the student was surprised by the announcement. The teacher as well as the student was surprised by the announcement. When we look at this sentence here, the subject is the teacher, which is singular. So we use was instead of were. The students here are just extra information added to what? To the teacher to make the sentence clear. I can also say the subject is what? Is one person. We have another example here, which is Ali as well as his brothers likes football. Likes, we use likes, not like. Our subject's main subject is who? Is Ali, which is singular. It's singular here. So even though his brothers also like football, but we are connecting our verb to what? To the main subject, which is Ali. So we use likes, not like, because our subject is one person. Next example is the governor with his aides is visiting Kano next week. The governor with his aides is visiting Kano next week. So our subject here is who? The governor. It's the governor who is doing the action in the sentence. Without the governor, there won't be his aides. So in this case, the governor with his aides is visiting Kano next week. The focus, the main subject here is singular, which is what? The governor. His aides are just accompanying him. Without the governor, there wouldn't be that visitation. We are referring to the governor, not his aides. Next example is our class captain as well as our teachers has arrived early today. Our class captain as well as our teachers has arrived, not have, has arrived early today. In this case, our subject is one person, not two. Our class captain, this is whom we are talking about. Our class captain as well as our teachers. Although we have teachers here, which is plural, but these teachers is extra detail added to the sentence. Our class captain is the focus, has arrived early today. So as well as whom? As well as our teachers, who also did what? Our teachers who have arrived early today. So the focus is one person here, not two. We use singular verb, which is has, not have. The last example that we have here is Amina with her baby was seen in the market today. Why do we have is here? Because here also our subject is one person, not two. That is the reason why we have is, not a. The baby is just with her. Without Amina, there won't be her baby. So our main subject is Amina, not the baby. And we are not referring to two people here. So these two nouns are referring to one subject, which is what? Amina. Oh, something very important to look at here. In all these sentences, we ignore the second part. We only look at what? Ali, the governor, our class captain, Amina, but we forget the second part. If this segment, if this part, the first part, stays singular, our verb must stay singular too. If this segment changes to plural, our verb must be plural too. Let's say, let's think if I say our teachers as well as our class captain. Our teachers as well as our class captain. In this case, our verb must be plural. Let's say Amina's babies as well as their mother. So our verb should be plural. Amina's babies as well as their mother are playing on the ground. So in this case, because why do we have are? Because our subject, the main subject, which is what? Amina's babies, not baby. Amina's babies. We have more than one. So our verb must be changed to plural. Another example, for example, if I have said the teachers as well as the principal are waiting for you in the classroom. The teachers as well as the principal are waiting for you in the classroom. So here, the teachers, we have plural here. The principal is additional information here. So the teachers as well as the principal are waiting for you. We won't say is because that in the word teachers, we have more than one, not one person. Had it been it is the teacher as well as the principal. So the question, the verb should be singular too. The teacher as well as the principal is waiting for you in the classroom. But the teachers as well as the principal are waiting for you in the classroom. The first segment of the sentence is very important. Is where we look at before we know what verb comes in agreement with the subject. For example, you will hear sentences like the man with his son is working on the farm. If you take a look at this one, his son is additional information and the main subject is what? Is the man. So here we will also use is, not a. Or you can hear something like my friend as well as her sisters is learning English. My friend as well as her sisters is learning English. We would also use is, not a, because my friend is who we are talking about. Her sisters are extra detail here. So I don't want you to forget what we have discussed so far. Look at this sentence, for example. If I say bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, use is, not a, because bread and butter together are considered what? A single food combination. That is one meal combo. This is the first rule. Second rule, the teacher with two of his colleagues is attending the meeting. So here also, the teacher is our main subject. We are talking about the teacher. Two of his colleagues whom they are attending together, they are just what? Extra information in this sentence. So our main subject is what? The teacher, not his colleagues. Second one, my friend and guide is always by my side. When we look at this sentence here, also, my friend and guide is referring to one person. My friend who is also my guide. In this case, we use is, not a. The last one, Musa as well as his cousin is attending the wedding. Musa as well as his cousin is attending the wedding. When we look at this sentence too, we will understand that we are talking about Musa, not his cousin. In this case, our verb must be singular, not a. We wouldn't say Musa as well as his cousins are. This is